There seems to be two fundamental ways that people view life. One is that life is suffering and they're trying to get through it. And the second one is that life is a gift. In this video, I'm going to discuss that. I'm going to tell you definitively why life is not suffering, why people like Jordan Peterson are wrong in saying that life is suffering. And I'm going to give you some solutions to overcoming what you might perceive as suffering in your life. If you guys are just joining me for the first time, I'm John from BulldogMindset.com. On this channel, I teach you how to be a man. I teach you how to build financial independence, how to go from the victim mindset to the Bulldog mindset, and how to transform your life in all of the areas that you need to as a man. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already, if this sounds at all interesting to you, because we're going to have a lot of fun on this channel learning about the things that are really important to you in life as men. Also, if you haven't already taken the Bulldog quiz, I got to tell you, go take that quiz, figure out where you're starting off with your Bulldog score. It's just 10 questions, and let's jump into the main topic here. Okay, so I have heard various people talk about the idea that life is suffering. Okay, I really do not like this sentiment, and it is something that I'm seeing expressed more and more often, and there's a really good reason why this is untrue and why it's important that we look at this. So first of all, let's talk about why is it important, whether we care whether life is suffering or not, what our viewpoint is. Well, the viewpoint that we have in life, if we say that life is suffering, okay, you're going to live life in a completely different way, okay, then if you have the viewpoint that life is a gift, for instance, all right? If you believe that life is suffering, you're going to live trying to get through life. You're going to be coming up with coping strategies in life in order to deal with the harshness and the suffering of life, okay? Or your experience of life will be fully experienced, but it'll be experienced in such a way as that you're avoiding the pain of life as much as possible, as opposed to going out and seeking the adventure, the challenge of life, okay? If you're viewing life as a gift, okay, if you're viewing, as I always say, everything is gravy, then what's going to happen is that your life is going to be lived in a completely different way, okay? You're not going to be worrying about coping, okay? You're not going to wake up every day and try to preserve what you have. You're going to go out there and you're going to conquer, okay? You're going to take charge of things. You're going to see that every single moment that you have, that you're above ground, that you're living as a blessing, okay? You're going to be grateful for it, and you're going to just attack the problems in life in a much, much more different way, in a way of viewing them as actual challenges that are designed to improve you as a person, to improve you as a man, rather than obstacles that are going to get in your way, okay? Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about what the Stoics say about suffering, and then we're going to talk about this concept, the idea that suffering is a choice. So first we'll start with the Seneca quote. And Seneca says, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." He says we suffer more from imagination than from reality. And then Marcus Aurelius says, "It doesn't hurt me unless I interpret it. It's happening as harmful to me. I can choose not to." And that's the key. That's the big thing that I want to talk about, okay, to make the point that suffering, that life is not suffering, is that suffering is a choice. Now, I know some of you are like, "No, John, that's ridiculous. Suffering is not a choice." Okay, here's the thing that you need to understand. There's a difference between suffering and there's pain, okay? Pain is not a choice, all right? I didn't have a choice whether or not I was going to feel that pain, okay? My body feels pain. Emotional pain, to some degree, is the same way, but it does not equate to suffering, okay? Suffering is only your interpretation of that pain, right? So I can slap myself in the face and I can feel that pain. But did I suffer? No. Why didn't I suffer? Well, because I'm making a YouTube video and I slapped myself in the face. But if someone else came up and slapped me in the face, okay, I might be more inclined to suffer. I might be more inclined to say, this person did this to me and I'm suffering because of my face is now warm and it burns a little bit, all right? I would suffer more, or I could suffer, okay? But it's a choice. right? See, that's the key, is that you interpret pain and you interpret anything that happens in your life, okay? Again, this is not just pain, but all of the things that happen in your life, all right? They're all an interpretation, right? Because they're just subjective reality, right? There's things that have happened, there's an event, okay? And then there's the value that you ascribe to that event. Really, really critical to understand that difference, and that's where suffering comes from. Suffering is when we take pain, or something that's not even pain, okay? We take some event, some arbitrary thing that happened, and we associate it with a negative or bad thing, a bad outcome. It's bad. We call it bad, and then we say we're suffering. Okay, so if we can stop doing that, if we change the way that we interpret things, we can stop suffering. Right? Here's actually the best example that I know of this. You guys have heard me talk about this guy, but I'm going to keep on telling you until you read the damn book. Read Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning. All right, I'm going to put a link in the cards. I'm going to put a link in the description. Okay, click on that link. All right, and while you're down there, by the way, check out the Bulldog Mindset membership, $7 for the first month trial. If you're into all of the stuff that I'm talking about today, if you're enjoying living your best life and becoming the best man possible, and you want to find a group of like-minded men to share that with, you got to at least try it. Just sign up for a month at least. Okay, you can always cancel after a month, and I promise you, you will find a lot of value in being around another group of men and having this kind of content that will help lift you up and encourage you so you don't see life as suffering. Okay, that's what I'm going to get to at the end of this video. Now, the reason why I say that you need to read Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning is because Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor. He was actually in Nazi concentration camps, all right? And he watched a lot of his family die, all right? He was tortured, abused in there. But in that book, he talks about a really important concept. He says that there's a thing that happens, okay? And then there's your reaction to that thing. But in between, there's a space. Okay, and the wider we can make that space, the better it is. And that's our interpretation. That's what we choose, how we choose to interpret that thing, that event that happened to us. And this is extremely powerful. Okay, if you know anything about me, you know that this channel is completely against the victim mindset. Okay, the victim mindset chooses to say that life is suffering. You know, if you're going to say that life was unfair to you, I think Viktor Frankl has the biggest claim possible that I know of victimhood, and that life was unfair to him, that he did not deserve the treatment that he got, but he never saw himself as a victim. Okay? He never allowed the people that were trying to victimize him to do so, because he decided in his mind that he was not going to interpret what was happening to him as something that he was powerless to control. Okay, and something that was going to be suffering for him. He did not see it as suffering because he did not interpret it so. So, for any of you that have like shit that's happened to you, and I've had stuff that's happened to me in my life, all right? What excuse do you have? You don't have one. Okay, but I'm not just going to leave you with this, because I understand that maybe you're kind of coming around to my way. Maybe you're saying, okay, I get it, John. All right, there's some pain, there's some stuff that I have to deal with in my life, but it's hard for me, man. I don't know how to not see it as suffering. Like, I feel like I'm suffering. I feel like I'm the victim. I honestly feel that way. And even though I hear you, I can't change that about myself. All right, I'm going to give you a couple things here. I wrote down a few things for ending suffering. All right, the first thing that you need to do to end suffering is to accept reality. A lot of the reason why we suffer is because we're fighting against reality. We don't want to believe the thing that's happened. We think that things are unfair, okay, because we are rejecting what has actually happened in reality. If you accept reality, if you say, you know, that's what it is, all of a sudden the suffering disappears from the situation. Okay, there's been so many times in my life where I've been at this point where I was suffering. I was allowing myself to suffer. And then finally, I accepted whatever it was. I accepted the situation. I remember when I tore my pec, it hurt a lot, but I couldn't lift anymore and I couldn't bench and I had to lose that identity. And I didn't accept it. All right, I suffered because I was so upset and I was so feeling sorry for myself until one day, you know, I finally said, hey, John, this is it. This is what your life is now. You tore that pec, so you're going to have to deal with it. And once I accepted that, the suffering disappeared. Okay? Once you accept life and accept the reality, accept whatever it is, the suffering disappears, right? You lose some money in the stock market. You make a bad choice. You break up with your girlfriend, or she dumps your ass, all right? Accept the reality, whatever it is. Okay, and then the suffering stops. When you're fighting against reality, you will suffer. Not only do you need to accept reality, okay, but you need to also accept it as neither good or bad. It is indifferent to you. No one is out to get you. All right, this is really important. God isn't after you. God doesn't hate you. You don't have bad luck. Stop interpreting situations. Stop interpreting things as good or bad. Stop using that kind of a viewpoint in your head, because then something happens and you say, oh, well, this is bad, or something else happens and you say this is good. If you're going to do anything, say it's good. In fact, that's what I do, honestly, okay? I just interpret everything as good, okay? Because whatever happens, I either win or I learn. So if some shit happens and it doesn't go the way I planned it, it's good. I interpret it that way, okay? I accept the reality and I make it into a good reality. All right, or at least make it into a neutral reality. All right, something that most people would perceive as bad, I say, oh, it's a challenge. Oh, it's an obstacle. Okay, I'm going to climb this obstacle. I'm going to use this to grow myself. All right, or I'm going to learn from this experience. It's good that I learned this thing. So this is really important. The next one, take action. Suffering is often an experience of helplessness. You suffer the most, or you're more capable of suffering when you feel helpless, powerless. So take action. Do something in your life. Okay, now there's a lot of things that are outside of your control. Most of life is outside of your control, but what you think, all right, and what you feel and hear, these are within your control. The actions that you take with your body for the most part, okay, the thoughts that you think about, the words that you say, those are within your control. And that's one of the secrets of Viktor Frankl, okay? When he was writing his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he figured out what were the things that he could control. And he realized that these Nazi perpetrators, okay, that they could do all kinds of things to his body, okay? That they could starve him, they could torture him, but what they couldn't do was decide how he interpreted things and how he felt about things and his thoughts. So he maintained control over that. So he took action by memorizing the book that he was going to write in his head because he couldn't write it on paper. He did something. He did what he could. He took action by helping other people around the camp. Okay? He took action, and that action might have seemed small, but by taking that action, that was actually one of the reasons why he survived. Okay, because he said that some people that were too optimistic didn't survive, and the people that were too pessimistic didn't survive, but the people that actually took action, that were actually doing something, that could see a life beyond, those were the people that survived. It's called hope. And hope is not a bad thing if you're taking action to make it come about. The next one here, okay, change your view. This one's super powerful. If you want to stop suffering in life, see it as a gift, okay? Imagine you're dead right now. Now I just brought you back to life. I'm going to give you another day. You get a bonus day, okay? How happy are you about that? How much of a gift is that day when you were already dead? That is what life is. We didn't have to be born. We didn't have to exist on this earth. We didn't have to have any kind of consciousness at all. But by some freak luck of fate, you happen to be you, and you happen to be alive watching this video right now. That is amazing, okay? It is amazing. It is such a fucking gift to have every second that we have, because who knows what happens after we're gone? Maybe we just dissipate into nothingness, okay? I don't want to fill your head with bad thoughts, but what I'm saying is that if you view things that way, if you meditate on your own mortality and knowing that someday you will die and maybe you will cease to exist altogether, then every single moment, every single second has immeasurable value. How could you view life as suffering? How could you even view it as suffering, knowing that it is such a gift to have every single second, every moment that you have, every breath that you can take? Would you rather have it or not have it? Imagine that, okay? The last one here is expect life to be hard. Be grateful that it is so. If you come into life thinking you should get whatever you want, thinking that you should just have money, okay? That you should have the girls that you want, that they should like you back. They should have all of these things in life and that it should come easy for you and that there's not going to be pain, then there will be a lot of pain and there will be a lot of suffering as a result. But if you come into life and you say, you know what? The world don't owe me shit. I'm born and I die. I'm born naked, I die naked. No one owes me anything. The world doesn't have to be fair. It's probably going to be really hard. Again, this is very much Stoic, right? Marcus Aurelius talked about this a lot. All right. I expect people to treat me poorly. I expect to just have a hard go of it, that every day is going to be a fucking challenge. If you come in with that attitude, okay, then you can't suffer because it can only get better. You can only have good days because you're already expecting the worst and you're prepared for the worst and you're ready for the worst and you're accepting, again, the key word here, accepting the worst. So then what happens is that you don't suffer. But when you're expecting the worst with the best, when you're expecting to get all these things added to your life and they don't happen, you're disappointed. Expectation, right? The reason why we get angry, the reason why we get upset and sad has to do with unmet expectations. When we don't have expectations, when our expectations are for the negative rather than the positive, we don't get upset, we don't get angry, we don't get off kilter, and we don't suffer. If you haven't checked out the trial for the Bulldog Mindset membership, I really encourage you to check that out. You will support the channel and you will support me spreading this message. And let me know if you have a question. Let me know what your question is in the comments below. Let me hear your experiences about your suffering and overcoming the suffering in life. And if you're looking for another video to watch, I would recommend that you watch, if you're new to the channel, why alpha males have a low tolerance for women. I'm going to put that video up in the cards and in the link below. That's one of the most popular videos on this channel and will help you to understand what is in the mindset of becoming the man that I know you want to be.